I had this idea for a video, right? I was in a rut, and I just was having trouble with getting an idea, and I couldn't follow it through. And I was going this way and that way, and this way, this way. And then I settled on I was going to do cops. And I had a special, Partners ran a couple of weeks ago. And I was going to do cops, and I had them all lined up. And somewhere along there, I got distracted. I got distracted by library. So that's where we went. We went to library. And so we're going ballistic with library. Because I found so many different variations. It was so interesting. And some of these books I may actually read for my channel. And most of these I have read for my channel. So if you want to see my review on the books, go check them out. A couple of these authors I have done extensively on this channel. So anyways, welcome to the DELUISE book series. I'm Christina, KRISTINA. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. Hi everybody. Hi. So anyways, like I said, this library idea just exploded. And I've got so many different ideas. And you would not believe, the longest list is my non-cozy mystery library. And I've had so many of them that I have to split them up into 3 different categories. But anyways, we got these first couple here. Oh, did I miss it? No, I did get them. Alright, first one. Murder at the Library in North Dakota Library. North Dakota Library Series, Book 1. Sometimes I tried to get Book 1. Sometimes I got the newer book. Sometimes I got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the same author. So, when Thea Olson agreed to volunteer at her local library in North Dakota, she expected overdue books and quiet reading corners, not a dead body in the stacks. Her brother, the acting police chief, can't make heads or tails out of the case, so Thea steps in with help from her grandmother and the handsome new library director. And fueled by endless cups of coffee, Thea is determined to solve the mystery. But what Thea didn't count on was the appearance of an interfering, snarky chameleon who only she can see. He's got one heck of an attitude, but his cryptic clues might just help her crack the case. So let's see what happens there. Second book, Elizabeth Spann Craig, Checked Out. There are no renewals when you permanently check out. When librarian Ann Beckett finally reluctantly agrees to being set up on a blind date by one of her overeager patrons, she figures the worst that could happen would be the two of them wouldn't hit it off. Little did she know that she'd be stood up because her date was murdered. With help from her patrons, Anne tries to find out who might be responsible in the small town of Whitby before more residents are permanently checked out. Book 3, Connie Shelton, Haunted Gold. The Ghost in the Library. A legendary treasure, a vanished professor, and a haunted library. Welcome to the world of Emily Plankhurst in the quaint town of Teos, New Mexico. Emily has inherited her family's research library and is determined to continue their legacy. But when a renowned history professor goes missing while searching for a long-lost conquistador, Emily finds herself caught up in a twisty mystery. With the help of her ghostly grandmother and a worried colleague of the professor, Emily must navigate through a town full of treasure hunters and clues to find the truth. But as she delves deeper, all Emily knows is that the missing professor has checked out a couple of rare documents from her library, and one of them just might be the authentic map to the treasure. Will Emily be able to locate the professor before someone gets a hold of the map And will she learn whether the famous conquistador gold actually exists? Gotta read the book to find out. Book 4. Murder in the Library, an utterly gripping English cozy. Kate Gale. Julie Bird had imagined the quiet of rural life would be soothing after years in the city, but she finds she just can't sit still. Determined to throw herself into village activities, she joins the library just in time to attend a talk by celebrated local author Vincent Andrews. Charming, deliberately handsome, and talented, Vincent teases the crowd with a reading from his forthcoming novel, set in the village bearing strange similarities to Berwick, with characters the audience start to recognize. Vincent hints of dark secrets to reveal, to gasp of outrage from the room. The meeting ends in uproar, and just hours later, Vincent is found dead. As one of the last people to see him alive, Julie feels morally bound to help the police investigate. With her trusty Labrador Jake at her side, she decides to go do her own sleuthing and quickly discovers that Vincent's personal life is messy, his finances are in disarray, and his book sales are declining. But most of all, remembering her neighbors' faces at the book reading, Julia wonders if one of them did it. Number 5. Digging Up Murder. Penny Brooke. Ellie Hawk returns to her hometown of Garden Cove, Massachusetts, just in time to help her librarian grandmother with last-minute preparations for the historic library's Halloween festivals. Determined to forget her recent past and start anew, she spends the rest of her free time doing something that she's always brought her joy, gardening. But when she makes a grisly discovery, her world is flipped upside down. It isn't until the local authorities point her to her grandmother as their number one suspect that she needs old friends and new furry ones to help her crack the case. Now, I've got a couple of these. Let's see, how many of the same author do I have here? Let me see here. Okay, I've got a few. I think this is the first one. This is book 1. Lindsay is she's just moved to what's the name of the town? Just a second. Okay. Lindsay is getting into the groove as the director of the Briar Creek Public Library when a vacation in New York editor brings a little buzz to the small town. It's the perfect chance for her friend Beth to sell the children's books she's written. Unfortunately, Beth's friend Rick, a famous author and local celebrity, tries to stop her. When Lindsay and Beth meet the editor, they discover the real reason for Rick's bad attitude. They go to confront Rick at his house on the storied and mysterious Thumb Islands, only to find him murdered. And this is the first local police. There's a second chief that comes in, but this first chief thinks Beth is his chief suspect. And it's Beth works the children's books. Lindsay's the director. Scully is her boyfriend, soon-to-be husband. And they've got the landlady who's really nice. I don't remember all their names. Let me see what order. Let's see what this year this is. 17 and alright. So read it and weep is another book in the series. Answering Shakespeare's trivia comes with the job description for library director Lindsay Norris, but when the Briar Creek Community Theater mounts their newest production of The Bard, she has no intention of leaving the stacks for the stage. Unfortunately, a villain is waiting. Former Broadway actress Violet LaRue is holding auditions for A Midnight Summer's Dream, and everyone from Sour Spinster librarian Mrs. Cole, and Mrs. Cole is a real elderly lady, and she Her and Lindsay don't get along in the beginning, but eventually they do start getting along. Youthful library pages are trying out for parts. Brought in to the play by mischievous Puck is the flirtatious professional actor Robbie Vine, who supposedly it says here, has eyes for Lindsay, but he doesn't. He ends up falling in love with the sheriff, the new sheriff. I love these guys. Robbie Vine helps her out on cases too in the future. And Death in the Stacks is a newer one. Although Briar Creek's new library board president, Olive Boyle, acts like a storybook villain, Lindsay is determined to work with her and make the annual Dinner in the Stacks fundraiser a success. But when Olive publicly threatens the library's newest hire, Paula, Lindsay cracks like an old book spine and throws Olive out. The night of the fundraiser, Lizzie dreads another altercation with Olive, but instead finds Paula crouched over Olive's dead body. If you have not seen my videos for all of these books, and I did read all of these books and review all of these books, please go check out all my Jen McKinley videos. This was a new one to me. Josie, this is Bait and Witch, Angela M. Sanders. Josie Way loved working among the Library of Congress leather-scented stacks until she uncovered corruption and made herself a target. As Wilford, Oregon's new librarian, Josie can stay undercover until the case goes to court, but life in this little town isn't as subdued as she expected. The library, housed in a Victorian mansion, is slated to be bulldozed. Still digesting the news that her safe haven is about to become scrap lumber, Josie discovers a body in the woods. Almost as shocking, Josie learns that she's descended from a long line of witches, and her powers have suddenly sprung to life. With help from a spoiled alley cat who just may be her familiar, Josie's thumbing through a catalog of suspects, hoping she can conjure up a way to save her library and her life. Did I get 2 of these or not? No, I only got 1 of these. So this is Library and Kitty Cat too. Sophie Kelly, hooked on a feline. It's summer in Mayville Heights, and Kathleen Paulson and her detective boyfriend Marcus are eager to attend the closing concert of the local music festival. The concert is a success, although one of the band members is discovered dead shortly thereafter. At first, it's assumed the death was a robbery gone wrong, but Kathleen suspects foul play, and she is certain that she, along with her trusty sidecats Owen and Hercules, can solve the death. Before the musician's death, Kathleen had noticed the victim in the library, researching his genealogy, and when she and Marcus take a closer look at the man's family tree, they begin to wonder if a previous death of one of his relatives now seems suspicious. Alright, now we have 3. I was gonna start a new category, but there's only the 3. And I have read, I have done videos on one of these so far, but I will do videos on the others. So, these 2 books are by the same author. This is the first one in the series, Laurie Cass, Lending a Paw, and she drives a bookmobile. Eddie followed Minnie home one day, and now she can't seem to shake the furry little shadow. But in spite of her efforts to contain her new pal, the tabby sneaks out and trails her all the way to the bookmobile on its maiden voyage. Before she knows it, her slinky stowaway becomes her cat co-pilot. Minnie and Eddie's first day visiting readers around the county seems to pass without trouble, until Eddie darts out at the last stop and leads her to the body of a local man who's reached his final chapter. Initially, Minnie is ready to let the police handle the case, but Eddie seems to smell a rat. Together they'll work to find the killer, because a good librarian always knows when justice is overdue. A little bit later in the series, A troubling tale. The charming town of Chilton, Michigan is beautiful in spring and bookmobile delivering great reads far and wide on one of the fair warm days of the year. But a chill sweeps through Minnie and Eddie discover that one of their favorite patrons, the owner of Hanneke's Candy Emporium, has been murdered. Although Minnie can't understand who could have a motive to murder such a kind man, she doesn't think a sticky problem is hers to solve. However, when rumors start flying around town and the police have no leads, Minnie decides to throw her investigation into her hat into the ring. The more Minnie learns about the case, the less certain she is that the victim's past is as wholesome as her reputation. And I was gonna get out RT book reviews for all of these, but I decided not to. Now this lady is like 100 and something years old, and she's driving a bookmobile, and she has trouble with the mayor or the townsperson. They want to tear down her library. She wants to build it up. She wants to expand it. They had, is it a fire or a flood? And she's kicked out for a while. Storm damage. Okay. So she's septuagenarian. I think that's 100. Cleo Watkins won't be shushed when an upstart young mayor threatens to permanently shelve her tiny town storm-damaged library. She takes to her bookmobile, Words on Wheels, to collect allies and rally support throughout Catapult Springs, Georgia. However, Cleo soon rolls into trouble. A major benefactor known for his eccentric DIY projects crasts all available books and getting away with murder. He's no Georgia peach, and Cleo wonders if she should worry about his plans. She knows she should when she discovers him bludgeoned, and evidence points to her best friend Mary Rose Garland. Sure of Mary Rose is innocent, Cleo applies her librarian sleuthing skills to the case, assisted by family, friends, and the dapper antiquarian bookseller everyone keeps calling her boyfriend. Evidence stacks up, but a killer is overdue to strike again. Please go check out my videos for all of these. There's 2 or 3 of them so far in the series, and I enjoyed the heck out of these, so go check these out. Okay. I can't tell you how many times I've picked this up. Alright. Murder at the Lakeside Library. Rain Wilmot has returned to her family's waterfront log cabin in Lofty Pines, Wisconsin after the untimely death of her husband. The cabin is peaceful compared to Rain's corporate job and comes with an informal library that Rain's mother Willow used to run. But as Rain prepares for the reopening of the library, all hopes for a peaceful life are shattered when she discovers the body of Thornton Hughes, a real estate buyer on the premises. The community of Lofty Pines stopped pointing fingers at Willow since she has been unusually absent from the library this summer. A fishy rumor surfaces when Rain learns that Willow has been spending a lot of time with Thornton. The town even thought they were having an affair. While theories swirl about Thornton's death, Rain takes it upon herself to solve the case to exonerate her mother. There you go. Murder at the Lakeside Library. Alright. The Bodies in the Library, Marty Wingate. I finally landed my dream job. I, Haley Burke, am the new curator of Lady Georgina Fowling's first edition library. The library is kept at Middlebank House, a lovely Georgian home, and I have a cozy flat on the premises. The library houses first editions from women authors of Golden Age mystery, such as Agatha Christie and Dorothy L. Sayers. Go back through my videos. How to Kill Your Mother-in-Law and Get Away with It is one of the books from Dorothy L. Sayers that I did. Now, if only I knew the first thing about mystery novels, I would be set. It would also help if I did not find myself always at odds with Mrs. Woolgar, Lady Falling's former personal assistant. She is thoroughly opposed to my plans to breathe new life into the library and would love nothing more than to kick out the Agatha Christie fan fiction writers group I have allowed to meet up at Middlebank. But when one of the group is found dead in venerable stacks of the library, I will have to take a cue from the greatest mystery writers to catch the killer and save the library and my job. The broken spine. Trudell Beckett, known to her friends as True, finds herself in a bind when her library in lovely Cypress, South Carolina is turned into a state-of-the-art bookless technology center. A library with no books breaks True's loving heart. So she decides to rescue hundreds of the beloved tomes slated for the town dump. Under the cover of darkness, True and her friends, coffee shop owner Tori Green and mysterious best-selling author Flossie Baker, set up a secret book room in the library's basement and prepare to open it to their most loyal, trustworthy patrons. But as Chu and her crew are putting the finishing touches on their new book room, the town's manager, who was behind the big push for the library's transformation, is crushed by an overturned shelf of DVDs. Chu becomes the prime suspect since she didn't hide the fact that she hated having all those wonderful books replaced by tablets and computers. But if she gives the police her alibi, she'll have to explain about the secret book room and risk losing her job. What's gonna happen there? Alright, now, Carrie Singleton. If you have not seen my videos for these, I itch and bitch and complain that, the author, I compared it to these. You have to check it out. Lindsay and Scully get married, and the books continue. The mysteries continue. But they're married, but it's still the mystery. There's a little bit of romance, but it's mostly, G-rated with, mysteries to solve, murders to solve. And she's pursuing, the series is ongoing. Alice and Brooke, on the other hand, decided that once Carrie Singleton got married, that was the end of the series. And that really, really pissed me off. And I read the new books back to back. So then I ended up itching and bitching and complaining and comparing the two. So the first one in the series is Death Overdue by Alice and Brooke. And when I did these mostly by audio. But Carrie, she comes to town as a goth. And she gets a job part-time in the library. And things progress. And she's offered a position in the library when one of the ladies, I think she dies. I'm not sure. And she ends up, because she comes and she's living with her aunt and uncle. And she goes through this phase. And there's also a ghost there that talks to her and gives her cryptic clues. And apparently the woman died tragically and was murdered in the library's parking lot several years ago. So she haunts the library, and only Carrie and Carrie's niece can see the ghost. And I was going to use this because she does at some point work with a detective. But I never got that far. I ended up in libraries. Carrie Singleton is just about done with Clover Ridge, Connecticut, until she's offered a job as the head of programs and events at the spooky local library, complete with its own librarian ghost. Her first major event is a program presented by a retired homicide detective, Al Buckley, who claims he knows who murdered Laura Foster, a library aide who was bludgeoned to death 15 years earlier. As he invites the audience to share stories about Laura, he suddenly keels over and dies. Someone fed him a poison cookie, I think. The medical examiner reveals that he was poisoned, and Carrie feels responsible for having surged forward with the program despite pushback from her director. Driven by guilt, Carrie's determined to discover who murdered the detective, convinced it's the same man who killed Laura all those years ago. Luckily for Carrie, she has a friendly, knowledgeable ghost by her side. But as she questions the shadows surrounding Laura's case, disturbing secrets come to light. And is this the newest one? No. Alright, so this is Overdue or Die. And by this point, she's fixed her relationship with her aunts and uncle. She's in love, and she's fixing her relationship with her mother and father because she was estranged from them. All these things are going on in Carrie's life. Carrie Singleton has more than her fair share on her plate. Her job at Clover Ridge Library, preparing for her wedding to Dylan Avery, and hoping that the local art gallery doesn't steal away one of her part-time employees. Dylan accompanies her to the beautiful home of Victor, an art collector and successful businessman, to select paintings for an art show at the library. While Carrie muses that Victor's home would be the perfect wedding venue, Dylan spots a forgery among the paintings in the Victor's collection. Then Martha Mallory is found murdered in her art gallery. With the assistance of Evelyn, the library's ghost, the resident cat Smokey Joe, and the office manager of Dylan's private investigation company, Carrie comes up with a suspect list long enough to rival the size of the encyclopedia. They gotta go through it. Evelyn's suggestions are kind of cryptic. This is a series I'm looking into. This is book 6 in the series, but I'm slowly gathering the earlier ones. Read and Buried, Eva Gates. The Rhode Island Lighthouse Library Classic Novel Book Club is reading Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. While workers dig into the earth to repair the Lighthouse Library foundations, the digging halts when Lucy pulls a battered tin box holding a Civil War-era diary from the pit. Tucked inside is a hand-drawn map of the Outer Banks, accompanied by a page writing in an indecipherable code. Later that night, Lucy and Connor find the body of a Historical Society member, Jeremy Hughes, inside the library, and the map and the code page are missing. Lucy's nemesis, Louise Jane McNaughton, confesses to entering the library after closing to sneak a pic, but denies seeing Jeremy or his killer. When Lucy discovers the fellow librarian Charlene had a past with Jeremy, she's forced to do what she vowed not to do, get involved with the case. Meanwhile, the entire library staff and community become obsessed with trying to decode the page. But when the library has a second break-in, it becomes clear that someone is trying to solve the code. So I'm looking into this series to do for the channel. These last two are really brand new authors to me, but they look good. Murder by Page 1, a Peach Coast Library mystery, Olivia Matthews. Marvy, a librarian, has moved from Brooklyn to a quirky small town in Georgia. When she's not at the library organizing events for readers, she's handcrafting book-themed jewelry and looking after her cranky cat. At times, her new life in the South still feels strange, and that's before she discovery of the dead body in the bookstore. After one of her friends becomes a suspect, Marvy gets out to solve the murder mystery. She's even convinced Spence, the wealthy and charming newspaper owner, to help. With his ties to the community, her talents for research, and her fellow librarians' knowledge, Marvy pursues the truth, but as she gets closer to it, could she be facing a deadly plot twist? And our second to last. A Little Library, A Most Curious Murder, Elizabeth Kane Buzzelli. Jenny Winston moves to home to Bear Falls, Michigan to nurse her bruised ego back to health after a bitter divorce, but the idyllic vision of her charming hometown crumbles when her mother's little library is destroyed. The next-door neighbor Zoe Zola, a person and Lewis Carroll enthusiast, suspect local curmudgeon Adam Kane, but when he's found dead in Zoe's fairy garden, all roads lead back to her. Jenny, however, believes Zoe is innocent until the two women team up to find the true culprit, investigating the richest family in Bear Falls, interrogating a few odd townspeople, and delving into long-hidden transgressions until Adam Kane isn't the only body in town and they have an even even bigger mystery to solve. And our final, it seems to me there was quite a few of these with cats. And I'm starting to gather these to read for the channel. And this is book 1. Everyone in Athena, Mississippi knows Charlie Harris, the good-natured librarian with a rescued Maine Coon cat named Diesel, that he walks on a leash. Charlie's returned to his hometown to immerse himself in books, but soon enough he's tangled in a real-life thriller. A famous author of gory bestsellers and former classmate of Charlie's, Godfrey Priest, may be the pride of Athena, but Charlie remembers him as an arrogant, manipulative jerk, and he's not the only one. Godfrey's homecoming as a distinguished alumnus couldn't possibly go worse. By lunch, he's put a man in the hospital, and by dinner, Godfrey's dead. Now it's up to Charlie, with some help from Diesel, to paw through the town's grudges and find the killer before another impatient deputy throws the book at the wrong person. So what do you think of my library mystery, cozy mystery books, huh? Wait till next week with the other ones. I'm not sure which direction I'm going in yet. But there are a ton of library mysteries that are not cozy. And there's a ton more bookshop retail. So we're going to do those too. I am just going bonkers over libraries and bookstores. It's just amazing. And I will eventually get back to my cops. Oh, and this is If Then, might be If Then 90. We'll see what happens. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like and subscribe. Maybe you found a good book to read. Some of these are really interesting. But like I said, quite a few of them I have done for the channel before. So please go check out those individual reviews. Have a good one.